Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sample Math class. Today we are going to run through a sample math lesson that could be used in a flipped or distance learning model. We're going to be using Summit as the portal to contain all of our resources. And I specifically am going to be using the Plans tab to outline for the students how the structure of the lesson will go. So let's jump right in. So as you can see, Summit has rolled over a bit, so it may not look like this in September, but we did create a sample course. There's a sample English and a sample math or sample math. And then once you click in here, you can see you have an overview tab and a plans tab. All the students would have to do if the plans tab is activated is click on plans. And then every day that you have a video or every day that you've included resources will be populated on the left-hand side. And while I'm still in teacher view because we don't have access to student accounts right now, but for a sample day, they wouldn't have all these kind of controls. They would just have the links. So we're going to pretend that we're students and we're going to follow along. I would announce to the students, so I'm thinking of emailing the students this video, this like follow along video, I'm calling it, where I kind of just walk them through the agenda. But you can see how it's structured. I'm using indents, so I have this instruction video that covers 38 minutes of the class. So if they follow along with the video, it will walk them through 38 minutes. Now the video is not 38 minutes long, but it covers 38 minutes of the class. And then the checkpoint at the end, is see how it's indented or not indented, is 12 minutes to complete. So they can kind of follow along with what they're doing. So I would start the class or start the video by clicking on introduction slides or some type of way of getting that, what are we doing today, why is it important, and we'll know we have it when the slides. So sample math course, today is August 25th, 2020. Today we will apply greatest common factor and least common multiple. We're going to develop and apply an algorithm for minimizing waste, and we're going to interpret scenarios in order to evaluate for a solution. So we can determine the number of purchases needed so that 2 ingredients are the same. Evaluate the number of products you can make when purchasing in bulk, and use divisibility rules to apply more efficient methods of calculating specifically greatest common factor. And we'll know we have it when we can adapt any situation with 2 quantities to find equilibrium or the point at which they are the same. It's at this point that I would lead them over to Summit and I would bring them to the agenda. So at the beginning of class, what I like to do is a few things, but like usually there's some type of warm-up or some type of activity. In this video, this is a video, and I'm using Edpuzzle, but in this video is a clip from the movie Father of the Bride. So there's this guy played by Steve Martin who is very stressed out about his daughter's wedding. And his wife tells him to take a drive, and he's just so anxious, and he's ready to fight someone. And so in this scene, he goes to the grocery store to purchase some hot dogs and hot dog buns for dinner. And there's a lot of people over his house because they're having a wedding at the house. And so what you should do is you should click on this link, and it'll bring you right to my Edpuzzle classroom. And then all you would do is you would put in your name, and then you would join my classroom. And from this point, the video is ready to play. So press play and watch. And as you can see at the end here, there's going to be something for you to input. So watch the video, pay attention to what the characters are saying, and then answer the question at the very end. So it's at this point that you should pause this video and do this hot dog bun problem. Okay, welcome back. The next item on our agenda is that we want to explain our thinking regarding the hot dog bun problem. It's one thing to put the answer down, but that only tells me so much. We're going to use this Go Formative link right here to kind of explain how you got to the answer. In order to access the Go Formative link, you're going to need this code right here. I would write this code down, or I would copy this code, and then I would click on this link right here. That's going to bring you to a Go Formative page. From here, you would simply just type or put in your code. Once you do, it'll recognize, oh, you're looking for the hot dog buns problem. And then from there, what you can do is you just type your first name and last name, and then join. You're presented with kind of the same question, only there's one larger question here: explain your thinking. In order to show your work, you're going to press the button, show your work. From here, you have a whole variety of tools, so you can change the color of your line, the thickness of your line, and then you can write numbers, you can write tables, you can draw shapes, rectangle and circle. You can type. This will select items. So let's say you didn't want this typing here, you could move that typing over here, Or let's say you wanted to erase, you can press this erase button and it'll erase what you wrote. This also will kind of, that'll move the whole background until that hand. This is the select tool is a much easier one to use for moving stuff around. You can zoom in, zoom out, delete anything you typed. Let's say you just want to start over and you can press this trash can. You can also upload an image from your computer. So there's a whole variety of things you can do to explain your thinking about the hot dog and hot dog bun question. So right now, I would press pause on this video. I would do as we just did. I would click on the Go Formative and I would copy this code, and we'll see you when you're done with that. So during this next part of instruction is a video tutorial in which I am going to go over the hot dog bun problem. And then we are going to look at an algorithm that might be able to help us solve not only the hot dog bun problem, but also any problem like it. So if the numbers are more complex or if they're in a different scenario, we should be able to apply it. So when dealing with the hot dog problem, right, we have buns, and we have dogs. And there's some, I'll call this A, there's some number that we can buy of buns, and some number we can buy, I'll call this B, of hot dogs, where buns and hot dogs will be the same, and we won't have any waste. So first of all, let's first list what we know. We know that there are 12 buns and there are 8 hot dogs per package in the movie clip. Because the numbers are so easy in this hot dogs example, we could very easily figure this out by finding the lowest common multiple. Let's take a look first. So if I buy 1 package of buns, I get 12. If I have 2 packages of buns, I would have 24. If I have 3 packages of buns, I would have 36. And then with the same thing with the hot dogs, if I buy 1, I have 8. If I buy 2, I have 16. And if I buy 3, I have 24. And the thing with lowest common multiple is we are looking for commonality, lowest common multiple. So 24 would be our lowest common multiple, LCM. Now what I can do is I can work backwards. I knew that I needed to purchase not 1, but 2 packages of buns. So A was 2. And then here I knew, hot dog wise, I needed 1, 2, 3 packages of hot dogs. So B is, and that's a valid method to do it. You could totally do it that way. But what we want to do here is we want to find out if there is a shortcut. Is there an easier way to go? Because I would imagine that if in life, numbers are not always so small. Sometimes they're larger and they're harder to figure out. One thing that I want to explore is the role of GCF. And if you don't remember what that is, that's greatest common factor, okay? If we find the greatest common factor of 12 and 8, maybe there's a relationship between A and B and LCM. There's an algorithm that we can use to find GCF. So I have my 2 numbers. I have 12 and I have 8. The algorithm uses division properties to find the greatest common factor. So we're going to divide these 2 numbers. So 12 goes into 8 one time, and the remainder is 4. As long as we have a remainder, we haven't found the greatest common factor. So what happens is my smallest number is going to come down and become my largest number. I'm going to keep my division property, and then my remainder becomes my small number, and I get 8 divided by 4 is 2. No remainder. So because I have no remainder here, I have found my greatest common factor, or 4. If 4 is our greatest common factor, what type of a relationship do we have here? So if I were to take 12 and divide by the GCF, I would get 3. Well, wait a second. B is 3, and that is not a coincidence. Because if I were to divide 8 by the GCF of 4, I would get 2. And 2 is A. So it looks like we have found our relationship here. 12 divided by 4 is 3. 3 equals B. And 8 divided by 4 equals 2, and 2 is A. And this is not a coincidence. So let's write a rule now, a mathematical rule that we can use. So when given 2 quantities, let's call one quantity A and one quantity B, we're going to have a number. So one could be, we'll call this number 1. And we'll call this number 2. And so our rule is, if we want to solve for A and B, if I want to solve for A is equal to number 2 divided by the GCF. And B is going to be equal to number 1 divided by the GCF. This is our rule that we can use here. Let's see if we can calculate some A and B values. Let's box this off here and see if we can use this little space. So if I have ingredient A that has a serving or has a number of 32, and I have ingredient B that has a serving of 24, and I want to know how many of these of A and B should I buy so that items A is equal to items B, right? Just like the hot dog example. So the first thing I have to do is I have to find the GCF, because I know what number 1 and number 2 are. I just have to find the GCF. And we have a nice little division property that we can use for that. So I am going to take 32 and divide by 24. 1 with a remainder of 8, because it only goes in once. So then if you remember here, the small number becomes the large number, so 24 in line 2 divided by 8, there's the remainder. And 24 divided by 8 is 3 with no remainder. So congratulations, it looks like we found the GCF. And now that we found the GCF, I can just execute my algorithms. So now if I want to solve for A, right, A is going to be equal to number 2 divided by GCF. Number 2 in our case is 24 divided by 8. And when I do 24 divided by 8, I get 3. Item B, how many should I buy of item B? I know that I got to do number 1 divided by GCF. Number 1 is 32 divided by 8. And 32 divided by 8 is 4. And that's how many of A I should buy. I should buy 3 of A, and I should buy 4 of B. Now you might be asking, well, wait a second, how many is that going to make, right? And you got to remember, in order to find how many it's going to make, remember I can make 24 hot dogs. How many will this make? Well, I have to find the LCM, right? Well, to find the LCM, it's easy from here, right? Because if I have 3 of item A, and item A has 32 in each one, all you have to do is 32 times 3, which is 96. Now, just to prove that that's right, what I can do is I can also do 4 items of B. So if I have 4 of B, 4 times 24 times 4 is also 96. So I can make 96 total of this without any waste. Okay, let's try one more complicated one, and then we'll move on. So let's try, so let's go back here. I have item A, and I have item B. So now let's say I have 1,040 per serving of A, and I have 455 per serving of item B. And I'll rewrite our rule here. So A is equal to number 2 divided by GCF, and B is equal to number 1 divided by GCF, just so we remember our rule. Again, if I need to find my GCF, because I know that this is number 1, and this is number 2. So now that I know number 1 and number 2, if I use division property, I can find out what my GCF is. So 1,040 divided by 455 is going to go in 2 times. And the remainder will be 130. So now you gotta remember the small number becomes the large number. And my remainder becomes my small number. 455 divided by 130 is gonna go in 3 times. And my remainder there is going to be 65. And then my small number is over, divided by 65. And that is going to go in evenly 2 times. And because it went in evenly with no remainder, we have found our GCF. And now that I found my GCF, I can execute our algorithm right here. If I want to find A is going to be equal to number 2, which is 455, divided by my GCF of 65, and that is going to be equal to 7. And then here I have B is equal to number 1 divided by GCF, so 1,040 divided by GCF of 65. And that is going to be equal to 16. So I need 7 of item A and 16 of item B for no waste. And then remember, LCM, how many can I make with this? Well, if I have 7 of item A, I am just going to take my 7 and multiply by 1,040. And that is going to be equal to 7,280. And then same thing here. If I have 16 of item B, but B is 455, it's also going to be 7,280. Okay, the last bit for today is for us to apply the knowledge that we have been working with. We have a checkpoint. So right in the Plans tab, you can click on your checkpoint. And you'll see that it's open. It's 2 questions long. You can type right underneath it. Then once you're done, the students would select submit for feedback, and then I would be able to see it and provide feedback for them.